Alabama has a lot of small towns with even smaller fire departments. Most rely on volunteers, and that's where this real incident happened. In 2004, a late-night dispatch went out over the private radio system of a rural volunteer fire station near Bibb County. The call was short, urgent, and oddly specific. Report to 112 Booker Lane. Visible fire. One possible occupant inside. 3 volunteers responded, but when they looked up the address, it didn't exist. Not in their records, not on any map. They thought maybe it was a mistake or a prank, but one of the men said he knew that street. So they followed his directions, and they found it. A house fully engulfed. Smoke, fire, everything. But here's where it gets strange. By the time the fire chief arrived 15 minutes later, the house was gone. No ashes, no structure, no driveway, just woods. The radio system was checked. There was no record of any call being sent. But the scariest part? One of the volunteers had his own handheld recorder on during the drive. When they played it back, the dispatch came through again. Only this time, after the original message, there was an extra line. "We never left. We're still inside." No one ever figured out who said it, or what building they thought they were in.
I've worked the night shift at a gas station off Highway 31 for almost 2 years. It's boring most nights. Just me, the buzz of the fluorescent lights, and the occasional trucker grabbing coffee. But ever since that armchair showed up, I haven't slept right. The chair was already there when I started my shift last Monday. Old, brown, faded, just sitting behind the building by the dumpsters like someone dropped it off and forgot about it. I figured someone ditched it because it was too heavy or gross to haul off. That first night, I barely noticed it. But the next morning, when I went to throw out the trash, the chair was different. Not gone, just moved, closer to the building, closer to the back door. At first, I thought maybe it was wind, or one of the delivery guys messing with me. So I dragged it back to the edge of the lot. The thing was heavier than it looked, too. I had to grab it by the broken armrest and scoot it across the concrete. But the next day, same thing. Only now, the chair was up against the wall, maybe 10 feet from the door I use on break. That's when I noticed something taped to the seat cushion. A receipt. It was one of ours. I recognized the header right away, but the timestamp is what made my stomach twist. It was from my register, the exact time I'd clocked in the night before. I turned it over, expecting a prank message or something, but the back was blank. I asked Mike, the morning guy, if he'd seen anyone dragging a chair around or if we were being messed with. He shrugged. "Dude, I don't even go back there. Probably just junk. Toss it if it's creeping you out." So I tried. I wheeled it all the way to the dumpster, tilted it over, and shoved it inside. It barely fit. That night, around 2:15 a.m., the power went out for exactly 10 seconds. Not uncommon, old lines out here. But I couldn't shake this weird feeling. When the lights came back on, everything seemed normal. Until I checked the monitor. The backlot camera feed was glitching. It skipped a few seconds, then froze completely. I went outside to check, already nervous. The chair was back. Not in the dumpster, not near the wall. It was directly outside the back door. That door doesn't have a handle from the outside. It stays locked unless someone from inside opens it. I stared at the chair, heart pounding. Nothing else around, just silence and cold air in that damn chair. I didn't touch it. I just went back in, locked the door, and stayed behind the counter until sunrise. The next shift, I left a note for management. Asked them to check the cameras and maybe remove the chair for good, but when I showed up the following night, the note was gone, and so was the chair. I tried not to think about it until 2 nights later. It was almost 3 a.m. and I was restocking the cooler. The station was empty. I was bent down, loading sodas, when I heard the familiar beep of the front door. Customer, I thought. "Give me a second," I called, standing up. No reply. I walked to the front counter expecting someone at the register. No one. The door was open about 6 inches, just swinging slightly. I stepped outside, nothing but darkness and crickets. Then I heard it, a dragging sound from around the side. I froze. It was slow, scraping, heavy. I didn't call out, I didn't move. I just backed up, shut the door, and locked it. I watched the cameras the rest of my shift. At 4:12 a.m., the back lot feed cut out again. When it came back, there it was, the chair, facing the back door. But now there was something in it. Not clear, just a shape, a person, sitting perfectly still. I didn't breathe, I didn't blink, I just watched. At 4:19, the feed glitched again, and when it returned, the chair was empty. The door stayed locked. At sunrise, I finally went to check. The chair was gone, no sign of it, no drag marks, no trash, just a clean slab of concrete like nothing ever happened. That was 3 days ago. Today, a customer brought something up to the counter, something they found behind the windshield wipers of their car while pumping gas. It was one of our receipts. I checked the timestamp. It matched exactly with the moment I saw that shape in the chair. I flipped it over, nothing on the back, except for one thing, a partial fingerprint in greasy black smudge, right where my name was printed. I haven't gone back to work since. But this morning, I got a knock at my apartment door. No one was there, just a crumpled receipt on the doormat, and down at the bottom, scribbled in shaky black ink, were 3 words, "Still watching you." This story was sent to me by someone named Tessa. She says it's why she doesn't keep anything in storage anymore, not even holiday decorations. When my uncle passed, I didn't expect to inherit anything. We weren't close, but apparently, I was the next of kin listed on a rental agreement for a storage unit in Birmingham, Unit 204. I drove out a few days after the lawyer called. The place was old school. Rows of metal roll-up doors, all sun-bleached and rusty around the edges. The front office had a buzz-in system and a paper ledger. The woman behind the desk barely looked up. Unit 204. Been a while since anyone touched that one. She handed me a single silver key attached to a faded plastic tag. I walked down the row, passing units with locks, some open, some empty. 204 was near the end, under a flickering light. The lock was stiff. Took me a minute to get it open. Inside, it smelled like dust and plastic. Stacks of boxes, a metal shelf, and an old TV on a rolling cart. Next to it was a milk crate filled with VHS tapes, some labeled 1995 Christmas, B-Day BBQ, Zoo Trip, stuff like that. All in my uncle's handwriting. I wasn't in the mood for a nostalgia trip, but curiosity got the better of me. I wheeled the cart over, popped in the Christmas 1995 tape, and hit play. The screen flickered to life. A family living room, kids running around. My uncle in the background holding a tray of cookies. It was surprisingly normal. I watched 3 tapes. Then I found one at the bottom of the crate that made my stomach tighten. No home movie title, just a blank label with tomorrow's date. "Do not watch," written in all caps. I stared at it for a while. It had to be a mistake, or a joke. Maybe he had dementia toward the end, and this was gibberish. But the handwriting was steady, deliberate. Still, I told myself it was probably just another tape, maybe something creepy he made late in life. I looked around the unit again, half expecting to find some weird shrine or manifesto. But no, just storage stuff. So I watched it. It started with static. Then a faint hum. Then a video of the inside of the storage unit. This exact one. Same shelf, same boxes, same cart. And there I was, on the screen, walking in. Just like I had 10 minutes earlier. I froze. I watched myself enter. Scan the room, open boxes, load the VCR, The video showed exactly what had just happened. Then it kept going. I saw myself watching the Do Not Watch tape. I saw myself stand up, walk to the doorway, and then something moved behind me on the screen. I spun around in real life. Nothing. I turned back to the TV. On the tape, someone, something, stepped out from behind the shelf in the corner. No face, just dark clothes, blurred features, standing behind me as I stared at the screen. In the footage, I turned to run. The figure grabbed me. The tape cut to static. I slammed the eject button. I felt sick. I stared at the label again. Tomorrow's date. I grabbed the tape and bolted to my car, locked the doors, sat there, heart pounding. I wanted to throw it away, burn it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I did something stupid. I drove back the next day, same time, just to see. The unit looked the same, but the milk crate was gone. The cart was there, the TV was still on, and the tape already playing. The screen showed the hallway outside the unit. Then, me, from behind, walking in. I didn't wait. I left. That night, I threw the tape out my car window on the interstate. But this morning, when I opened my front door, there it was. No note, just the tape. And now, the label's changed. It says today's date, and this time, it doesn't say "Do Not Watch." It just says, "I warned you." This one comes from someone named Reggie, a volunteer firefighter in a rural Alabama town. He said this call was the reason he stopped answering the radio after dark. I've been a volunteer firefighter for 12 years, not a big town. We get maybe one real call a week, brush fire, fender bender, the occasional drunk trying to cook indoors. But last fall, I caught something that still gives me chills. It was 1:38 a.m., and I was home. Our dispatch system's connected through a private channel. Real old tech, a squawky radio unit mounted in my kitchen. When it goes off, I get the location and head to the station. That night, the radio crackled awake with a weird tone, then static, then a voice, distorted and muffled. All volunteers. Report to 137 Booker Lane. Smoke visible. Possible occupant inside. I wrote it down. Booker Lane, that didn't ring a bell. I checked the dispatch sheet we keep taped to the fridge. Nothing. No cross streets nearby. So I called the captain. "Did you just send something out?" He was groggy. "What? Number nothing tonight. You sure?" I repeated what I heard. He pulled up the official system. No call was dispatched, and Booker Lane? That street's not on our grid. Still, something didn't feel right. I grabbed my gear and drove around. No Booker Lane in town, not on GPS either. I almost turned back. But then I passed the old gravel loop near the ridge, a barely used fire trail, and there it was, a hand-painted sign nailed to a tree. Booker Lane. I should have turned around. But the smoke was real. I saw it. A thin gray column rising over the trees. I followed it. The road dead-ended at an old wooden house. Half burned, roof gone. One side blackened like it had been struck by lightning. And yet, the smoke was fresh, the smell strong. I stepped out of the truck, called out, no answer. Then my radio crackled again. Still inside, help. My chest tightened. I moved toward the door. It hung sideways off its hinges. I peeked inside. Nothing. Charred beams, soot-covered furniture, floorboards scorched and sagging. Then my flashlight hit something. A working radio, sitting on a shelf, still on, still broadcasting, same frequency. I stepped closer. The voice crackled again, louder now. Still here. I turned to run, but something behind me moved. Just the sound of a footstep, but in a burned-out room, it echoed like thunder. I didn't look back. I made it to the truck, slammed the door. I called dispatch. This is Volunteer 14. I need confirmation. Any active call for 137 Booker Lane? Long pause. There is no 137 Booker Lane. Where are you? I gave the coordinates. Another long pause. Sir, we don't have any structure there. That property burned down 20 years ago. I didn't answer. Just looked back through the windshield. The house was gone. Just trees, dirt, no smoke, no radio, no house. I went back the next day with the captain. Nothing there. But that night, when I turned my kitchen radio off to sleep, it turned itself back on. Same voice, same address, still asking for help.